Ladies and gentlemen, please be aware that foul language is prevalent within the following production. Have a nice day.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of the Offenders Podcast. As always, I'm Kyle, joined by my co-host, Evan.
That's right, I'm Evan Jones. Sitting here right next to me is the one and only Shane Tipton.
Hi, I'm Shane.
He's obviously very new at the job. Please forgive him, ladies and gentlemen. Back to you, Kyle. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Evan. How are you doing today?
I just got off my job as an auctioneer, so I'm a little bit tired. You know what I'm saying? Ha ha!
All right, so today what we're going to talk about is Baphomet.
Baphomet.
Evan, who is Baphomet?
Baphomet is the lord of black metal. Baphomet is the goat representation of the dark side of metaphysics. As above, so below.
All right, and so why is he important at this moment?
Metaphorically speaking, Baphomet is the ideal it's the personification of everything that God is not supposed to be. It's sort of an amalgam of a lot of other horned deities of the wild, like Cernunnos, just like lots of other things that people kind of. I think it was, what's his name? Levi from the 18th century.
Levi's jeans.
Yeah, Levi jeans, the satanic
Anton.
jeans. But Levi was a black magician. He was not a black guy; he was a magician. He practiced black magic.
Wait, hold on. So he's a white guy who practiced black magic, but he wasn't a black guy practicing magic?
Correct.
Okay.
He was not a black guy practicing magic. He was a white guy practicing black magic. And I don't mean African-American magic. I mean the darkest magic.
Okay.
His soul swims in it. You know what that fucking is, what movie that's from? You take a shot right now. But, anyway, Baphomet is supposed to be the representation of darkness and destructive power and stuff. Kind of a Shiva, if you will. But not my beautiful, wonderful, cold Shiva, the goddess of winter, but the violent, destructive, crazy
Hindu goddess.
Yes.
So the deal with this, though, the reason we brought him up is that in Oklahoma, in the Oklahoma government building, I think it was sometime last year, a statue was donated of the Ten Commandments and placed inside of the building.
Price him.
Exactly. And a lot of people were upset about this. Like, well, separation church and state, you shouldn't have this kind of stuff in there. If you're willing to have this for this religion, you should be willing to have anything from any other religion. So they went ahead and said, sure, yeah, that's okay. So then the Church of Satan, or Temple of Satan, whichever you want to call it, decided that they were going to raise money to build a statue to put in there. And they put up on Indiegogo a campaign for $20,000, and they've achieved that goal. And so they've released an image of the 7-foot-tall goat-headed Baphomet statue of him. It's him sitting in a chair with his hands outstretched and two children standing next to it, which is what they want to put inside the Oklahoma Capitol building.
And technically, Baphomet is neither male nor female because it is a goat, but it also has titties.
I love their little statement for it. It's like, not only is it a statue for religious reasons, but it also serves as a chair, so children can sit on the lap of Baphomet for inspiration.
And just to clear the air here really quick, people that go to the Church of Satan, like the Levian Church of Satan, they're basically secular humanists who have a flair for the theatrical. Like if you look in the Satanic Bible and any of that shit, it's all mockery. All the rituals are just supposed to be mockery. It's just like, flipping the bird all the time.
Yeah,
a lot of kitschy humor in it.
It's not what people think it is from the 70s, where it was like, oh, Satanists are like kidnapping babies and sacrificing them and eating their hearts and stuff like that. No, it's just this basically thought of, fuck it, you can't be as good as the Bible wants you to because it's full of shit, so you just do what you're going to do anyways. Who gives a shit?
Here's a little bit of trivia for you. The next time you're playing for some hot wings, Sammy Davis Jr. was a fucking Satanist.
There were a lot of people who have been.
That's not a joke. That's legitimate. You can look that up. He was a Satanist. Went to the Church of Satan.
I thought he was Jewish.
Well, can't you be both? You jerk.
I don't think you can.
Life is a long time. You could be a fucking, what are those, Baha'i people? And then you could change your mind and be Wiccan.
I guess that's true. But
please tell me you're looking it up.
I
am. Be like, God damn it, Evan was right. He's
Sammy
not being
Davis
a troll
Jr.
for once.
Church of Satan. Okay, so this has been searched before. Maybe by me. I don't know. Okay, here we go. Let's look at this one. And Sammy Davis Jr. worshiped the devil. All right, there you go.
It's swinging, baby. It's swinging for the Dark Lord, baby. That's all. Swinging cats. Praise Satan, baby.
Now I just imagine like him and the rest of the Rat Pack like sitting out there just like doing like satanic worship and shit right before they go on stage. That'd be awesome.
This one goes out to the one who made everything possible for me. Satan, baby, I love you. In the back, there's like a guy with long hair. Yeah, Satan!
Throwing up the devil horns in the Sammy Davis Jr. concert. Oh, man. But so, yeah, like the deal with this is that I think I mentioned to this to Shane before, is that like the Oklahoma government is in like a really weird situation. They can either say, one, all right, you can bring it in because we did say any religion and it's okay to come in here. And then now there's a statue of Baphomet in a chair next to the Ten Commandments in the Oklahoma Capitol building. Or they can say, no, you can't bring that in here, which at that point, it then probably will go to something as far as the Supreme Court because they're going to have to rule on it. And then the Supreme Court's going to be like, either you let them in or you don't let either you let everybody in or you don't let anybody in. That's your choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
And though at that point, they should probably just not let anybody in.
Well,
which is what I say they should do anyway. It's just be like, no, we're taking this thing out, so nobody can be in here.
I've seen some statements from some of the senators and other government officials there, and they're totally not going to let them put that statue in there. So they're either going to have to get rid of the other. Well, no, they're going to have to get rid of the other one because they're not going to let them put it up. There's no way they'll let them put it up. I assure you, from what they're saying.
I mean, I don't doubt it. I don't see. I mean, even if I was a government official in this state and I'm not a Christian, well, I'd have a problem with that being there. But I'm like, I don't want that damn thing in here. Thing's an eyesore. I mean, it's badass looking. Don't get me wrong, but it does not need to be like a government building. Imagine like some traveling dignitary shows up and he's walking through there and he's like, oh, and over here you'll see this is where we have this statue that was donated to us by so-and-so church. And you're like, oh, it's just a book open with some shit written on it, whatever. And then over here you'll see our goat-headed statue of Baphomet sitting in a chair. Would you like to take a seat in his lap and speak words to him? Let him whisper dark nothings into your ear?
If I may, there is a band called Akarkaka from England. These gentlemen wear full business suits on stage and play death metal. So they could look like traveling dignitaries, and they could just happen to walk into Oklahoma and be like, by Jove, what a stunning sculpture of our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, but they are not the norm when it comes to like traveling dignitaries.
If you went and read the whole Bible, you'd find all kinds of things in there you would find would be horrible too. So it's really no different.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying I would.
Second of all, it's honesty. You go into the state capitol building. It's like, and here's a statue of Baphomet. Or the Church of Satan people? Yeah, what do they do? Whatever they want. Oh, it's a perfect representation of them. We voted you in. What are you going to do? Whatever the fuck we want. What about we want? Fuck you, I'm for myself.
Yeah, that's true too.
I got to say this too, without getting into a big long rant here. I bet you dollars to donuts that the fucking same Duck Dynasty people who are yelling about freedom of speech and all that other shit are the same fucking assholes who are like, get Baphomet out of here. That's satanic. It's like, look, buddy, you can't have it on one hand and then not on the other. Because one of the things that's great about America is we have some pretty killer laws. Mind you, most of them have changed since we were founded, but one of them is separation of church and state. So if you're going to accept religion, you have to accept all religions. And that's my style, you know. I don't really care what people worship as long as they're not dickholes about it. I personally think it's fucking awesome that there's a statue of Baphomet in any state capital anywhere. Because I would go there with all of my friends and we would just fucking headbang and take pictures and post Vine videos of it and shit.
I mean, I donated $5 to the Indiegogo because I thought that was a a pretty awesome thing to do. I would have donated more if like there would have been like some stretch goal where like if we hit this amount, then everybody gets like their own little 6-inch statue. Because that'd have been badass.
Hell yeah!
Take that and put it on your desk at work.
But you really got to break it down. It's like, do you want freedom of religion or not? If you don't, then get the fuck out of America, because that's why we're here, because we were against the religious regime of the fucking place that we came from, and that's why we're here. So if you don't like it, get out.
It shouldn't just be freedom of religion, it should be freedom to have or not have religion as well, because that's another problem. Some people, and because of that, atheists have started doing stuff like, we're just going to create our own mega church. We're not going to really worship anything, but we're just going to use it to launder money like all the other churches do.
That's awesome.
That's a great idea.
You know?
Do you know what we ought to do? Speaking of making money, we ought to make a Kickstarter to put up a statue of the invisible pink unicorn there, and then we could say that the statue's already there, and then we'll just fucking go to like Comic-Con or something.
That would be hilarious, especially if you told people you were going to do that.
Exactly.
They'd be like, no, see, you have to have faith, or you can't see it. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes.
Exactly. The fucking Mormon underwear. If you're a true faith believer, then I can shoot you and it won't penetrate your fucking undies.
That's wonderful. What an easy out.
It's undies.
It's like, oh, you just didn't believe.
Faith
that's all
is the biggest easy out. It'll be like, that's what every religious argument always comes down to. It's like, no matter how much evidence that either side tries to get to, when it comes down to the end of it, you always hear that, well, you just got to have faith. It's like, I'm not sucking George Michael. I don't just got to have faith. That's bullshit.
I want to make up my own. I'm going to worship the nine-tailed fox from Japanese like folklore.
Hell yeah!
The ultimate trickster.
Kitsune.
Yes, the ultimate trickster, and therefore all the other religions are just shit that the nine-tailed fox made up to trick you. So any of your religions you believe in, you actually believe in mine, no matter what you say, because you're not smart enough to outfox the fox.
That's fucking awesome.
So
you can send the donations to Shane Tipton, care of the offenders.
Yes.
But
they already are. Every time they donate to a church, they're actually donating to my Lord's church.
And he gives you his regards. He blesses your marriage.
Exactly.
The only the other thing I was gonna say about the religious groups, it's not just the Temple of Satan that's trying to do this too. Like, there's been a Hindu group that was trying to get money because they wanted to put a statue of Vishnu up in there with them.
I've seen that statue. That statue looks badass.
Vishnu is a fucking awesome god.
I'd like that in my capital. I wouldn't care.
Yeah, Hindu gods look badass. I'd want that, and I'd want like a statue of like Set and Anubis also. Get some like Egyptian gods in there.
Dude, if they had that in there, we'd be set.
Like a giant sword hammer.
Do you know what the end of the world is in Hindu mythology? One motherfucker on the back of a horse with a sword decapitating everybody. That is their apocalypse. How badass is that? It's like, well, it's my job to decapitate every fucking living person on the planet to bring the end of the world. God, that is amazing.
Well, it's less horrific than a lot of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you get your head cut off and then you're dead. There's no, like, days of suffering. It's like brimstone rains from the sky or something.
And I mean, it'd be awesome to watch. It's just like, and there goes everybody's head. Well, here goes my head, and then you're done. It'd be an interesting way to go. Like, what do you want to go and like have a heart attack and shit your pants? No, I want to get decapitated by the guy who's decapitating everybody.
Wanna be decapitated.
Oh my God, who was that?
Was it the butt trumpet?
Butt trumpets, yeah. God, I forgot about that tape, dude. Holy shit.
I did right until you said that. I want to be decapitated.
And the Offspring song, Decapitated? Hell yeah.
Beheaded.
Beheaded. I digress. Back to the point.
Yes.
What were you saying, Kyle? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that, but it kind of goes back to I could see them like arguing against the whole Baphomet thing, even though they shouldn't, because it's a recognized religion. That's probably what their biggest argument would be, is like, well, Satanism is not a recognized religion. Like, no, it is. Because you can put it on your dog tags if you're in the military. So that's one of the reasons it's acknowledged.
Here's the thing.
That's awesome.
Is if it's Satanism and they assume it's like the Satan from their religion, then it's a part of your own religion, which you claim is a religion. Therefore, it's just a different part of your same religion. So, yes, it is.
Booyakasha!
Respect. So, is Baphomet, where did the concept of him originate from? Because I've heard of him, but I didn't know anything about it.
I believe it's Eliphas Levi. if you look it up, because he kind of started because Baphomet doesn't come from like Sumerian religions or Babylonian or anything. I think it was just kind of maybe Aleister Crowley, like something like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, something like that. Because Baphomet, I don't think is even in the angelic hierarchy for like the Goetia or any of the Solomon keys or anything like that. So I think it was brought about by like that guy, Madame Blavatsky. They were like late 18th century, late 19th century people who were just really into black magics. And they would just kind of like get together and do seances and all kinds of crazy shit. But
I've read some of that stuff.
I think it's Eliphas Levi.
It's out there. Like that Madame Blavatsky stuff. They're like volumes and volumes of shit that she wrote. And you're just like, it's way out there. You read, you're like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't remember most of it.
Yeah. But I could be totally wrong. I think that's where it comes from, though. Do a Google search. Let's see. Live action here. Full, real time.
All right, so where does Baphomet come from?
Dude, go to Ask Jeeves. Is that even still a website? Jeeves, where does Baphomet come from? Yes, sir. Let me go inspect.
Okay, let's see. The name Baphomet actually appeared in July of 1098 in a letter by the Crusader Anselm of Vermont. So it's been around, the concept of him or the name of him has been around for a while. But the concept, it looks like, of him is in the 18th century.
Rosicrucians? That's my guess.
Yeah, it looks like.
To worship him or something like that?
It's like Gnostic stuff.
Yeah.
And things along those lines, so yeah.
Big ceremonial magic stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, it wasn't really until he's been mentioned like way back when, but it really wasn't until that time when he became something of more, I guess, import.
And now he's working his way up to the Oklahoma Capitol. Way to go, Baphomet. You've come a long way.
He has. I mean, it took him over 1,000 years, but fuck, man, some people just work slow.
That's true.
Wait a minute. Isn't he in Final Fantasy as a summons?
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
That's where I knew him from.
That's where he comes from. Fuck all the bullshit, y'all. My boy Baphomet straight out of fucking Final Fantasy, yo. All that other shit, that's just some heresy.
Heresy?
That's what I said, son. Don't be a heretic. Just summon Baphomet and kill motherfuckers all day.
That was a very short rap, but I thought you were going somewhere with it. I was getting ready to like drop some fat beats.
I was going to, but I decided to stop while I was ahead.
So,
all right. Yes, Shane.
It's good that they're letting other things in there. Where was the guy who was sworn in an alternate religion? Where was he from?
Okay, so in a this town, it's like I think it's called Pomfret Town in New York. This guy was sworn in recently into the town board. His name is Christopher Schaefer. When he was sworn in, he wore a coal lantern on his head. And later they asked him, they were like, why are you wearing a strainer on your head? And he said it's because he's a member of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Yes!
May his noodly appendages forever caress you. So,
I don't like the way that you said that. That sounded dirty. You should never mix religion with sex. I mean, look at the Catholic Church, for goodness sakes. Kroger, for goodness sake.
Doesn't it sound like they've done something wrong? Kroger, for goodness sake! What's wrong with you?
Why are you cutting prices?
At Kroger.
That's fucking hilarious.
Walk in there and go to the meat section and just see like rotting meat in a package on the shelf. I'm like, goodness sake.
And then the supervisor's a guy named Pete, and it's like, oh, for Pete's sake!
Oh, no.
For the sake of Pete.
So when I saw this article about the guy who, you know, got sworn in wearing a coal lantern on his head because he's a Pastafarian, my first thought was that, well, what would as I'm an atheist, what would I want to swear in on if I was ever, like, actually going to go to the government? But fuck, I mean, who wants to be in the government? That sounds like a terrible job. Like, no money in it. I mean, it's just like holding you down. But So before I say what mine is, what would either of you do? Like you've been elected to the city council and you're going to get sworn in. What would you swear in on? I mean, would you swear on the Bible?
Mine is a two-part question. First and foremost, I would swear in on a copy of Big Trouble in Little China on DVD.
Okay.
If they don't accept that as a valid form,
no, but hold on. Before we go to the alternative, why? I want to know why is that what you're swearing in on?
It's like Jack Burton always says. What the hell? Jack Burton is the greatest fucking man that has ever existed.
Pork Chop Express, man. I know what you're talking about.
Dude, he fucking shook the pillars of heaven. No horse shit, man. That's seriously my favorite movie of all time. Motherfuckers will be like, I don't know what my favorite movie is. I like them all so much. Fuck that. My favorite movie of all time, without a doubt, is Big Trouble in Little China.
I remember as a kid, like, seeing that movie and only seeing pieces of it, but I always remembered the one scene at the very end where thunder explodes. That's the only scene I ever remember from that fucking movie.
It's like... I don't think he's gonna stop.
He explodes into lettuce.
Yes. It actually looked like lettuce, too.
That's what I always thought it was. I thought he just exploded into... Like, he was a vegetarian. He only ate salad, so when he exploded, he just exploded into lettuce.
I was shocked that no boogers shot out of his nose. It was just like smoke, you know? Yeah. And that's where Raiden came from. But I digress. I'm getting off point again.
Let's see. So we say no. They say no to that. They're like, no, you can't swear on Big Trouble in Little China because we hate Kurt Russell. What is your alternative?
After I hit them with Dokugiri, after I breathe poisonous mist in their face for defiling Kurt Russell, I would say, fine, I will take a printed book for you. And I would swear in on the first edition, the very first volume of Megami-sama, also known as Oh My Goddess. Because that has Belle Dandy in it, and that's the closest that I will ever get to a goddess. Part of my holy trinity, by the way.
Well, I was gonna say, I guess that is kind of religious. She is a goddess, so you are kind of, being sworn in on something semi-religious.
Let me tell you how awesome that would be. For this reason, this would be a great religion for all the officials to have if it was that, because like she's a goddess, but she's like a Norn goddess, so she's actually Norse.
The fate of the Norns, yeah.
And she's really nice to everybody, but then they're all actually high tech because they're like computer programmers and stuff like that. So that all the people wouldn't disbelieve in science because they're using computers all the time as part of their religion. It would be wonderful.
And she doesn't go around killing people because she's made of fucking love and compassion and beauty, which is why I choose to worship her.
Oh.
Yep. Dude, I have called every fucking pizza place. For those of you who don't know this as well as I do, the way that Kiichi, the protagonist, if you will, he is trying to order pizza because he's home by himself, and he calls the wrong number, and he calls the goddess helpline, and she fucking appears through a mirror after he gets off the phone, and he's like, oh my god, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. And then he says, I wish a goddess like you would stay by my side forever. And she does. So me being the big time fan I am, I'm like, oh, there's a new pizza place in Macon. Now is my chance.
At least you get pizza out of the deal.
I do. So. Maybe that's why I love pizza so much.
Maybe.
Whoa, enlightenment. Whoa.
The other thing about that, with that is as the people who are in office, it's like you call, they're like, we'll send somebody right out, and they show up immediately. Think about that for government work. There's a pothole on so and so. Bam, they're there. They're working on it. They fixed it.
That would be it. See, I'm telling you guys, she's just backing it up. I think her name technically in the Verthandi, yeah, but they can't translate that over into Japanese, so it becomes
would be hard to say.
Verthandi.
What I mean is she supposed to be from any? She's supposed to be a particular
she's the Norn
goddess
of the present.
Oh,
yeah.
She's a Norn. Okay. I wasn't sure if she was just some made-up goddess. I didn't know if she was an actual real one.
Erd is the past, I believe, and then Skuld is the future. And
if you want to know more about...
Skuld, I think is how you'd say it.
Skuld. If you want to know more about where they come from, I highly recommend listening to Amon Amarth, because they are a Viking death metal band that will tell you everything that you need to know. And I'm going to see them on January 24th.
Yes! Do they sing about Oh my Goddess?
They have a song, an entire album called Fate of Norns, which is about the three goddesses. The three
I was about to be
fates,
like, that's not very metal to get up there and sing about, oh my god.
Why not?
It can be, dude. You can never make out what people are saying anyway. It's all like...
That's true. They could just be
I
fucking...
can understand them.
Reading phone books. Well, that's true. They're not as bad as others.
That's right, man.
All right,
so
Shane.
That's my choice. Shane, what about you?
All right. If I were going to be sworn in as president...
Oh, wow. Okay.
If I was going to be sworn in as president, I'd get sworn in on Captain America comic book.
Hell yeah!
Because how badass... And then I would follow it.
But
I would follow the dictates of... I would be killed immediately.
First off, though, you need to make sure you get sworn in on the one where it's actually Red Skull who's Captain America.
No. No, it would be awesome. Because they're just like, all right, I'm going to make America America. And when I say that, I mean like Captain America. So that means, if someone's fucking something up, it's like, wait a minute, did you accept a bribe for this big company that's going to just going to ruin all this shit up here? It's going to crash our economy? Yes. Well, then I'm going to beat the shit out of you until you stop doing it like Captain America. I'm going to come in your office and I'm going to beat your fucking ass for fucking America. Stop it.
You actually get to make a costume for you, too, that you walk around in at all times and you don't take it off.
Yeah.
And Shane's already a badass martial artist, so we'll just give him the Captain America shield, so when people try to shoot him, he'll just be like, ding, fuck you.
You better give me the super serum, too, because I'm not buff enough for that.
Super serum.
That's what I'd want to do. I'd want to swear in on a Captain America comic.
I'd vote for Shane. I'm just saying, I'd vote for him.
That reminds me of the comic series where he got voted for president, and he was really doing that. I love that. Yeah, he became the president, and he went around when people were fucking up shit, and he just beat the shit out of them, made them stop.
See, that's what we need. We need good old-fashioned ass beatings. People are afraid of getting their asses kicked, so they just shoot people so the shit will never happen. Yeah. You need to get your ass kicked a couple times, realize it's not the end of the world, and then we just pass that shit out like fucking free bread at a goddamn homeless fucking shelter. Because seriously, could you imagine how many people would straighten their shit up if you just gave them a couple of fucking hooks and some straights, just boom, 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 boom. It's like, ow, I'm an idiot. Thank you for that. Now I'm a good human being.
If they just couldn't get away with it stupidly, they don't actually need their ass kicked. But if you could, literally, if someone took a bribe, and if you could really go to the office, like, all right, we're prosecuting you and putting your ass in prison, they'd stop at them, but that doesn't happen.
I think you should just bring back duels. If people get that angry at each other,
oh my god!
Whoever survives is the winner, and they're right. That's all it comes down to.
So when Kyle becomes president, his first executive order will be to give everybody a pair of gloves.
So you think I'm gonna slap the shit out of somebody with them?
I challenge you to a duel.
Actually, my second one will be to reinstate the sport of gouging.
What the fuck is
that?
Gouging?
Poking people in the eye?
Basically, so when in the earliest settlers here in America in Jamestown is basically a bunch of dudes. So like it's a bunch of guys, and they didn't know really how to farm or do anything. So they would get bored. When they get bored, they would come up with these weird sports, and one of the sports was gouging. And what guys would do is you would basically the goal was to gouge out the other guy's eyes. You only had to gouge one out. If you did it enough, you were good. But so like. Guys would actually like have thumbnails that were sharpened like to a point to give them an advantage, or they would
gods above.
Yeah, or they would even like they'd felt like if you only had one eye, you were in an advantage because they only had one eye to go for. Yeah, gouging. I'd totally bring that back.
You might know what this is, but it was like something in the early 1900s where people they were like doing it was some kind of wrestling training. Where they would just put, like, spikes on their legs and on their shoes and kick each other. It's kind of like that same thing. It's like, we got nothing else to do, so let's fucking hurt each other. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you heard that?
That sounds fucked up. That sounds like something people would do.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, like, boxing was the biggest sport in America during, like, the time when radio first started. But what ended it was somebody died during the middle of a match, and that kind of led to the decline of boxing as a watch sport because people were at the time like, wow, somebody just died and I just listened to him talking about it while it happened. That's kind of weird. So that's why boxing declined, because it was too brutal of a sport. So that had to have been like late. Yeah. Well, that'd be late 1800s.
Like, oh, he fucking died. I want to watch the next one. Maybe they'll die too.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they didn't air on the news, you could find the internet. It'd be okay.
What was that guy's name that lasted 75 rounds? John Sullivan, was it? Bare knuckles, 75 rounds. He fought 40 rounds and vomited and went back and fucking boxed for another 35 rounds. If you can do that, what can't the human being body do? What if you can box for 75 rounds after throwing up? I mean, just 35 out of the 75. That's inspirational as shit. Look him up, John Sullivan.
Sounds like a badass.
He was
a complete BA.
DASSMOTHERFUCKER.
Look at you with spelling.
HEHEHE.
Hashtag. Hashtag funny. Hashtag offenders.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Hash browns, Waffle House.
Hashtag hash browns.
That's awesome.
Hash browns, Waffle House.
Have you ever seen the Jimmy Kimmel Justin Timberlake skit where they talk in hashtags?
Yeah.
It sounds as ridiculous as you would think it
Yes,
does.
it was
It's pretty
pretty
hilarious.
I have seen that.
All right. Well, so when I'm sworn in, not before I get to reinstate gouging and pass out dueling gloves to everybody, I would be sworn in on the collected works of Sir Isaac Newton.
Oh wow!
Indubitably.
Now, the reason for this is most people would be like, "Oh, because it's science and you're an atheist and all that." No, Isaac Newton actually wrote more religious shit than he did scientific stuff. He was really super religious. You had to be what he was at Oxford at the time. So I would be like, see, this shows that you can be religious and still, be into science and not be a complete fucking moron. Put my hand on that. Doesn't mean I'm religious. But I support.
He's a fucking alchemist too, wasn't he? I think
Yeah.
Newton was one of the most renowned alchemists.
He was. He was a Full Metal Alchemist.
Awesome,
dude. He listened to Deicide and Obituary. Full Metal.
Yeah, he was crazy, dude. He's an
We
asshole.
should do a Full Metal reading of his works. It's like, take the son of Copernicus into the third house of Saturn.
That's what I figure most metal music is anyways, them reading something to me, but I can't understand it. They just grab we call this song the phone book. And they just grab the phone book and they just start reading it.
I kind of want to do the Full Metal, Sir Isaac Newton and stuff. That'd be awesome.
Let's do that, though.
You might what we're going to do. But you need to just change it a little bit. So, people still understand. So it's an ass kicking in motion tends to stay in motion.
Stay in motion. What a consummate scientist. You left it as a theory. Tends to stay in motion.
Eventually, you'll get tired. I mean, come on. Conservation of energy. You got to sit down and rest.
God damn it.
Sir Isaac Newton's theories of ass kicking.
Yes.
One thing I remember reading about Newton is that people talk about how crazy and weird he was. So at one point he was studying optics, the effects of light on the eye, and he wanted to know what would happen if he poked the back of his eye with a needle. So he did it.
Now what in the fuck?
he somehow got a bobbing, one of those long sewing bobbing needles they use when they would knit, and he wedged it behind his eye and his skull, and he popped it back there and saw what happened when he poked the back of his eye with it. I tell people that story when people are talking about oh man, he's really smart. I'm like, yeah, but smart people can be really fucking stupid sometimes. Did you ever hear this story?
It's fucking Reed Richards.
That is. It's totally. It's you're so smart that you start doing stupid shit because there's nothing else to do.
I would have responded sooner, but I went into the other room to vomit. Hamada.
But yeah, so that's the kind of stuff I always think of when they talk about super smart people doing things. I always think of them doing the stupid shit like that.
Just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean you're good at another.
Hell no.
Highly intelligent, no common sense.
Well, that's like that old farce guy. God damn, I can't speak worth a shit today.
Nah.
Shouldn't have been getting drunk before I got on this goddamn thing.
Did you throw up in the yard yet?
I don't have a yard.
He didn't shit himself, we know that for sure. Because even while unconscious, he has complete control over his body.
That's right.
But no, there's a Far Side comic, and it says Midvale School for the Gifted, and there's a kid, and the door says pull, but he's just pushing on it as hard as he can to get in. And having been in gifted programs and knowing gifted people, that is so true. The smarter people are, the less common sense they have.
It's because they're too busy reading and memorizing shit and not actually trying any of it.
I mean, I just remember, like, when I was in some, like, advanced chemistry stuff in high school, these two girls who were supposed to be, like, smart are in this class. And there's multiple times these dumb bitches did stupid shit. To the point they had to be separated. They couldn't be in the same group because they're going to kill each other. But one time, they had this plate, like the ceramic plate they're putting a chemical into heat. And it's supposed to break down, and then you're supposed to weigh it and see what's lost. You know, what gets turned into a gas that's when you heat these two. And they're goofing around, and they hit the plate, and it starts to spill. Well, one girl's like, oh no, we can't lose it. That'll wreck the experiment. So she puts her hands out and catches this hot plate that was just over a Bunsen burner. And she's like, my hands. And then she drops the plate, and she sticks her fingers in her mouth. They're now covered in this chemical that was on this plate. And she's like, with her mouth. And then the teacher's just sitting in the front. He's just shaking his head like, idiot. He doesn't even react. He just sits there and just shakes his head.
I tell you why. Because of these kids of today. All they do is to read the books. They don't get out into the canals and experience a life. They have no canal smarts.
Canal smarts?
Yeah, that's what they have in Italy. It's like street smarts, but they have canals.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
But this didn't happen in Italy.
But it could have.
No,
Are you saying Italians can't do fucking scientific experiments? That was a Mitch Hedberg joke, by the way. If you're in Italy, you have canal smarts instead of street smarts.
I am saying they can't do that. All they can do is make pizza. And garlic bread. Probably a few other things.
It's a good thing none of us are Italian, because we would have been really offended.
It'd be really hairy.
I saw something about someone talking about athletes in college that, like, read to the third grade level. And they're talking about how they were idiots and stuff like that. I do conjecture that it all depends on what's going on. Currently, if you were trying to, do something where you had to read all the time, they'd be correct. However, if for some reason we're all, like, somewhere, like out in the street maybe, and there's a bunch of crazy people chasing us, I'd rather be the athlete. Because it doesn't matter how good you can read if you're too slow.
Yeah, that still doesn't mean they're not an idiot. They're still an idiot. I mean, yeah, okay, so you're an idiot and you've got some athletic skill, which in that situation you're going to probably be better off than me.
But they'll survive to learn to read.
Yeah, no, they won't. No, they won't. That's the problem. The whole article, I know the article you're talking about, it's saying that the problem is that these people, they go through the school system and they're getting put in these athletic programs and they're basically just passed to be passed. Because you're a good athlete, and you just want them to keep going. True.
I will say this, though. Just because you can't read doesn't mean you're an idiot. It means no one taught you to read. There are people... You could be a fucking mega genius and not know how to read if no one taught you how to read. That doesn't mean you're an idiot. An idiot means there's something wrong with your intelligence.
And also, it's not that they can't read. They're just reading on a third grade level, which means they read slow and they don't understand a lot of
That doesn't mean they're
verbiage
idiots,
or stuff.
They could be geniuses.
Yo, man, let me get up in there. Hold up, though. Yo, for real talk, man. Y'all motherfuckers been listening out there, be like, man, they talking about some science and shit. Then all of a sudden say, I conjecture.
Who the fuck say conjecture? That's all I'm saying.
Did I say that? I didn't even realize
you
I
did.
did.
Motherfucker said I conjecture. Who the fuck said that shit?
That's because I'm not a college athlete. Oh, fuck.
I've ascertained from my research.
No, but they're not idiots. They just haven't been taught to read. They might be, they might not care about learning and didn't do it or something like that, but they're not necessarily idiots. Now, some of them could be idiots. Don't get me wrong. But you're not an idiot just because you can't read.
What made that even worse, though, is that sucks. And the article wasn't trying to say they were idiots. It was just trying to say, look what we're doing to these people.
People have said that, yes.
Yeah, other people said that. But so the biggest thing, too, is like the woman who wrote this and did this study, she basically has been blasted by all these universities and these sports teams and sports players saying, like, you should be bringing this up, blah, 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 blah. She's like, no, I need to bring this up. That's the fucking problem. You don't come to college, because the thing is that, like, if you think of every college athlete, how many of them actually go on to be professional athletes? A very small amount of them. You're not doing them a favor. You're doing them a detriment by not educating them. That's
true. I'm not saying that that's not true. And here's the other thing that this is actually a comment I saw on that, but it's completely true. Is if they read at a third grade level, then it's not the college's fault.
No,
I mean it's their fault for letting them in. But if you stop reading at third grade, then that means elementary school is part of your problem, and so is high school. Because all this time they still let you get there.
Yeah, and I think her argument too is that, like, the colleges are then just perpetuating and making it worse for these athletes rather than, like, holding them back and telling them, no, you can't pass this. They get pressured. Their professors get pressured by the athletic department to be like, well, hey, you know, he's our starting player. We really need him out there. So why don't you just give him a C? That's all that really matters. And it is a known fact that professors are pressured to do that.
They should fail them. It's like, we don't care about their grades. We're going to let them play anyway.
I have a question. Was that like a hypothetical that you just gave about somebody in college reading at a third grade level?
No, that was for real.
Jesus fucking!
That's for real.
That's also why I tell people, they're like, well, I don't really think college is for me. I'm like, oh no, trust me. Anybody can get through. All you got to do is just show up enough. Yeah. Getting somewhere and being successful with it is a different story, though. But you can go get some one of these retarded degrees, like I see people getting all the time. You know, like a PR degree. The fuck?
Well, that explains why some
home
people are
ec.
so
There's
fucking
basically
retarded. They got a degree in it. What'd you major in being retarded? I can see it.
What was your major in?
You've made good use of your degree, sir.
What was your degree in potato?
No, that'd be awesome if you majored in if your major was in retardation, and it's like, hey, what'd you major in?
Retardation.
You're really slow.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, I always love when you see, like, during the college football games, they'll talk about what each player's, like, major is, and most of them are like some kind of sports thing major. Basically, what it is, they're just going to be, you know, high school gym teachers is what most of them are planning to do. And every now and then you'll see that one guy is like, he's a Rhodes Scholar he's getting like 2 degrees, one in business and one in like pre-med. I'm like, God damn, what's that? Oh, he's a kicker. Okay. That makes
but
sense.
some of those guys are pretty clever.
No, a lot of them are smart.
Let me just say this. For those of you who have seen Black Sheep starring Chris Farley, how ingenious was it that he hooked the telephone to his head with the sweatband? That shit is natural. That's fucking genius. I never would have thought of that, but I didn't go to college for football.
They should really just be honest about it. They should say they're failing their classes, but they're here to play football for us because it makes us a lot of money. And then they should have to pay them part of the money that they're making for them. That way, they're using their skills that they're good at, i.e. their physical abilities, and they're getting money for themselves. Therefore, there's something to it. But they should just fail them and be like, we don't care. They're failing it.
Yeah, for me, it goes back to the whole concept of what are they doing? They're doing a sport. And this is for all sports. So their whole point should be to get really good at that sport. If that means that they take 20 hours worth of sports stuff every semester to be good at that sport, that's cool. And in the end, if that means that you're like making them like mutated freaks so they can be really good at this sport, even better. If I want to watch a sport, I don't want to watch, you know, stuff like that. I want to watch something crazy. Like, really, for football, I want these guys to be souped up fucking monsters out there on the field, just like going berserk and like crushing each other. Because really, they're freaks, anyways. I mean, because there's no one like that. Same thing with basketball. These super tall mutant freaks running around out there dunking on these huge things. That's what it should be. You should just train them to be freaks. They should get a degree in being a mutant freak. I think that's what they should do.
So what you're saying is that the office you'd be sworn in on would be like a senator, and you would change your last name to Kelly?
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, no, because Senator Kelly would be against it. He would be against it. I'd be for it. I'm pro-mutant freak.
These mutant freaks.
I'm for it. I want more of them out. I want them on the field.
So instead, what you want then
I would want the XWF from Aberrant, where it's like you have the superhero wrestling league. So they're out there like pile driving people from like 2,000 feet in the air.
You got my vote.
What you want then is to become the head of a giant network, and then you change your name to Mojo instead. Then.
Hell yeah, that'd be awesome.
There you go.
And then you can have your own potatoes. It'll be sold at Shakey's.
Delicious.
You have Spiral working for you.
That's right. Mojo potatoes. Before we wrap this up here tonight, Shane and I were conversing on
You're
the
not
way.
going to let it go, are you?
Dude, Shane and I were conversing on the way to this very podcast, and he came up with what I like to call a thought experiment. So for all of you out there who are men who have argumentative spouses who happen to be female, or just really like being right and they're jerks, anybody can be a jerk. We have this quotation fingers thought experiment in quotation fingers for you to try.
It's not going to be the same with all the lead up, though, so it's not going to be as funny. But since you insist on it being
I
said...
insist because it's fucking genius.
Since Evan Jones doesn't understand comedic timing, and his thought is more of like, ram it down your goddamn throat and like it.
I don't wear Nike clothing. What are you talking about?
We were talking about guys and their girlfriends or wives and stuff arguing and stuff like that. And how, like, sometimes you know how you think you're right, but you're not. And other times there's things that you know that are correct. But they'll still argue with you. You know, it's like, this is the sun. You see it in the sky? It's a giant ball of gas. It's very hot. No, it's not. That is the moon. Stuff like that.
Yes.
So, it's like, I explained how, like, I want to be honest, but it just gets you in more trouble. Because, I mean, it's going to be an argument no matter what. And if they're in that state, there's no way they're going to stop arguing with you. So, what I want to do is make the best of a situation. So, you know, you put on your white lab coat like a scientist, and you just explain, it's like, all right, this is a coffee cup, correct? And they'll be like, what's that have to do with anything? You'll be like, well, I'll take that as a yes. And you're like, what I want you to do is this is a coffee cup. Now I want you to yell at it until it becomes a banana. And I'll be back in an hour to see how you've done. Because that's really how some of the arguments go. You know, something is right. And they try to yell at you until it becomes not right.
Oh, man.
Because how fucking true is that? I've been in 1.5 billion arguments where I know that I was fucking right. And I just end up saying I'm sorry because I'm tired of being right.
I need to stop talking about it. I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him. I'm sorry. I'm right. If I do say that, I'm sorry. I'm right, and you just don't get it.
And it goes
what do you read on a
too.
3rd grade level or something, you moron?
And you can't even catch a ball.
Yeah, you ain't got nothing.
And think
Suck
about
on a tailpipe.
If somebody does this and this happens, one of two things could happen.
Either not have a girlfriend or wife anymore.
No, that's a third possibility. We're dealing with different possibilities in different realms. Number one, it could be a turning point for the woman or the man that's an asshole, whoever it is. And every fucking dude in the world who saw that would walk over and high five you.
But that would not happen.
Number two, you would notice a distortion around the person. We're going to say it's a woman because fuck it. You're going to notice a distortion around the woman, somewhere around her shoulders, leading up to her neck. Her hair might start floating a little bit. It'll look like when somebody has the car on in the summer and you just see the fucking steam coming off of the car. It's like gas at a gas station in front of the sun. And then all of a sudden it's going to turn red. And there's going to be flames. And you'll realize that she's grown exponentially. And she's like 50 feet tall. And she is now a giant devil woman who's like, how dare you be right? And you go, no! And you run, and then she kills everybody. And it's Attack of the 50-foot bitch who couldn't admit that she's wrong.
Damn!
That's a lot of build-up for that little joke at the end there.
That was a big joke.
Wasn't even planning on it.
It was a big joke, that's true. It's a 50-foot joke.
I wasn't even planning on it. I just threw it in right there at the end.
You know what I thought you were going to say? You said, how dare you? I was expecting it to be the cow from Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah. How dare you?
It's not like it can't go the other way, too, because I've seen plenty of...
And
plenty of just people you're arguing with. It doesn't necessarily have to be your girlfriend. It's just you're usually with your girlfriend a lot, so you argue with them more.
Yeah.
Well, I I was gonna say that one of the things you said is that like if you did this as a guy and other guys saw you, they'd high five you. They wouldn't high five you if their girlfriend's with them because they wouldn't want to be put in that situation. They'd be thinking in their minds, they'd be like, "Hell yeah, man, you do that shit. I ain't gonna do it. The hell."
No, that's when you're like, "Oh, honey, look, they've got the full fucking 3-disc set of The Twilight on DVD." And then she's like, "Where?" And then you run over, high five, and run back. "Oh, I'm sorry. That was just Lady Cottingham Book of Fairies."
What the fuck?
I don't know what I'm saying.
He just had to find something quick, so he read that off the book on his shelf.
I do have the Good Fairies, Bad Fairies book because it's got titties in it, but I don't have that Lady Cottingham.
Whatever you're talking about.
That's a real book out there.
Yeah.
No.
I bet the only reason Kyle knows that is because he worked at a bookstore.
It is because that's the book that has the. It looks like basically like somebody took a book and smashed a fairy in each page, right? Is that what that one is?
It's terrible.
It's hilarious.
If you have a hot fairy woman, you don't smash her. You're like, why don't you come inside and perch upon my penis?
Well, it's supposed to be like. All right. Well, never mind. I think that's the end of the podcast. I think it's over. I mean, we're talking.
Dude, think about it. It could be like Tinkerbell, where she could go human size.
Okay.
It'd be amazing.
So you want to end it here?
Might as well.
Fair enough.
I believe in fairies.
Fairy muff.
Fairy muff. That's my favorite kind of muff.
All right. So, oh shit! What the fuck just happened for the last hour? So if you have anything you want us to talk about or anything you want to make comments about that we talked about today, you can email us at offenderspodcast@gmail.com. So until next time, I'm Kyle.
I wish I was Kurt Russell.
And no matter how much you argue with me, I'm Shane.
Y'all have a good one.